Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to find out just how much of a difference in performance and temps your thermal paste matters for your CPU. Now you can do this again for GPUs, especially if you start doing water cooling, but we're going to stick with the CPU today. But before we can do that, I got to clean my gaming PC. You might not be able to tell from that camera angle, but this thing is dusty. I want to show you just how bad it is up close with my phone. Look at all that dust. It's all over the top too. The inside doesn't look quite as bad, but it's dirty too. So I've got my trusty data vac, not sponsored, with all the accessories that come with it, and we're gonna take it outside and get it clean. Oh, and friendly PSA, don't wait as long as I do to clean your PC. Clean it every month or two so your PC doesn't end up looking like mine. No time like the present, I guess. Make sure you pay special attention to your radiator, your GPU heatsink, and anything else that might be dissipating heat, because those are going to be really important to keep everything cool. So the premise of today's video is it really worth it to spend money on aftermarket or additional thermal paste when pretty much every CPU cooler you can buy now comes with some level of thermal paste, whether it be pre-applied or a little baggie essentially of thermal paste? Why would you buy something else when it already has that? So sit back, relax. I'm doing the work for you. Let's find out together. But before we get into which thermal paste we're gonna be testing today, let's talk about our test setup. We've got an Intel i7-12700KF with an Arctic 360mm AIO. The rest of it doesn't really matter so much because we're really just trying to test the amount of heat being generated and how well it's being dissipated by our AIO. But since we're here and I want to brag a little bit about my gaming PC, let's do it. We've got a 6900 XT from XFX, got 32 gigs of CL16 3600 RAM from Mushkin, a gigabyte UDAX Z690 motherboard. This was one of the first motherboards that were available when the 12th gen, when the new LGA 1700 socket dropped. So I was a very early adopter of that. We've got an 850 watt power supply, and then all of that is encased in this case, which is a Fantex P500A RGB. And you can see we're still erect. Let's get into the thermal paste we're gonna test out. I'm gonna lay them out from what I would say is probably the cheapest and logically the worst to what I think is gonna be the best. First, we've got this Deep Cool thermal compound. This comes free with some of their like really low-end air coolers. I couldn't really find this anywhere for sale, but we're gonna try it out anyways. Then we've got some Thermalright TF7. You can find this for $2 or $3. Some Arctic Silver 5, EK Electrotherm, some Arctic MX6, and then finally we've got the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. And these pastes really kind of range from the absolute cheapest to a mid to upper tier thermal paste that you can get, all of which you can find for under $10. Like I said, you can get this Thermalright for $3 to $4. The EK is about $6. Same with the Arctic Silver 5. The MX6 and the Thermal Grizzly are going to cost you closer to $10. So hopefully we'll have a wide range of performance and temperatures, right? Lastly, for the actual tests, we're going to pull out our old friend Cinebench R23. We're gonna use Prime 95, and then we'll also jump into the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark and see if it affects our FPS from one to the other, as well as we'll look at the temperatures too. So let's get started and put this Deep Cool thermal compound that hopefully won't hurt my PC. Got my Linus Tech Tip screwdriver and we're ready to go. All right, we're gonna clean all this off with some alcohol and then we'll get started. Just gonna wipe off the excess here with a paper towel, and then we can get it really clean with the alcohol wipe. All right, that looks pretty clean to me. We're gonna give it a minute here for it to completely dry off, then we'll apply our thermal paste. Yeah, that looks pretty dry to me. Let's mix this up as much as we can in this little baggie. It looks promising. It doesn't look super wet or anything or overly dry. I think I got a little too much on there, so we'll wipe it around real quick. A lot easier to spread thermal paste around when it's not inside of a case. Get a little dot more here on the bottom. All right, it doesn't look great, but we should have enough on there that it will actually do its job. And now all I gotta do is put this case panel back on and fire it up. Well, it turned back on, so that's a good sign, right? So to test this, we're gonna look at the numbers that we get out of Cinebench and Prime 95. We're also gonna look at the temperatures using hardware info. We're gonna run Cinebench for the standard 10 minutes. We'll run it a couple of times. We'll check the average and the hotspot temperatures, as well as the scores. So that went a lot better than I thought it would, with a maximum temperature of 75°C and the average temperatures for the performance cores in the low 60s. Maybe my cooler is just really overkill for this CPU, so let's see if we really can notice a difference with these higher end thermal pastes. We actually need to do the Prime 95 and the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark, so let's get this fired up. All right, we're gonna let Prime 95 run for 20 minutes and then we'll stop it and check the results. All right, after 20 minutes on Prime 95, we peaked at 77°C and we averaged 65.5°C on all of the performance cores. Let's move on to the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark and see how that does. On the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark, you can see we hit an average of 245 FPS. This is on 1080p because all I have is a 1080p monitor over here on the build bench. But that's okay, that's still a really good score for us, and we averaged 60°C for the temperature, so not bad. Time to move on. Let's see how the Thermalright does. All right, let's try out this Thermalright TF7 thermal paste. I gotta be honest, I was really surprised by how well that Deep Cool thermal compound did. So hopefully it only gets better from here. Maybe we'll get our high temperatures down into the low 70s with some of the higher end stuff. But I'm honestly, I would use that Deep Cool stuff on this system as of right now. As you might have guessed, you can see the PC turned on just fine with the Thermalright paste. So let's start Cinebench and see how it does. Okay, so we got a pretty interesting result here. We actually ended up with about the same max temperature at 74°. The average temperature went up about 4° at 67, but our Cinebench score went up. It's not really much difference, 21,329 versus 22,000. So I'd say that's in the wash of being, plus or minus a couple percent. So let's move on to Prime 95 and see what kind of temperatures we hit after 20 minutes. So this was really interesting on the Thermalright thermal paste here. We actually ended up with a significantly higher peak temperature of 84°C, but the average temperature only went up by about 1°. Interesting. Let's move on to Modern Warfare 2 benchmark. All right, so we got about the same FPS, 244 FPS over on the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark with the Thermalright TF7 and a similar 57°C shown as the max. Not super helpful there. So let's move on. I'm gonna do the Arctic Silver 5 and the EK, and we'll look at the results of those, and then we'll move on to the two big hitters, the MX6 and the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. We're only about halfway through the Cinebench test, but I can already see we're seeing some pretty high numbers from this Arctic Silver 5. I did a pretty good job, put about the same amount of this on there as I have been on all the other ones, so really don't think it's a bad application. I think this thermal paste might actually be significantly worse than the other two that we've tried already. All right, so we finished up the Arctic Silver 5. Time to try EK. All right, we're kicking off the EK with some Cinebench. Let's see how it does. So we saw a little bit of improvement from the Arctic Silver 5 over to the EK, with both Cinebench and the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark looking really good. The Prime 95 seems to be a little inconsistent so far, so we'll run it with the next two as well. Might have to kind of put an asterisk next to any numbers for Prime 95 because it seems really inconsistent in which cores it's actually using during the benchmarking. All right, we've applied this Arctic MX6 now. Let's see how it does. All right, so we are finally on to the last one, the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. Unfortunately, we are down to just using the Cinebench and the Modern Warfare 2 benchmarks. After multiple tests, the Prime 95 just seems to be super inconsistent. Second time using it, it didn't use one of the cores at all. And then on the third and fourth time, there were several cores that it just wasn't using during the test, even though it's supposed to be testing and stressing all 12 cores. So pretty much had to strike that from the record because it doesn't seem like it's going to be useful data with half the thermal paste being completely different in terms of what cores are being used and how many cores are being used. So we're going to look at Cinebench and we're going to look at Modern Warfare 2 benchmark. We're going to put in this Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut, see how it performs, and then we're going to bring all the data together and take a look at it. All right, so we've tested all 6 thermal pastes. We've gotten all of our data. I'm going to upload all of that, create some charts so we can look through it, and then we'll make some observations on the data. All right, welcome back. Like I said earlier, we were going to use Prime 95 as one of our benchmarks today, but unfortunately it was so inconsistent I just couldn't trust any of the data coming out of it, so we threw it out, and we're going to stick with the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark and the Cinebench benchmark. I'm saying that 5 times fast. Anyways, we're going to start with the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark. You can see here we had pretty consistent FPS across all of them. It didn't really seem to correlate with any sort of temperature. You might see just a very slight difference in the Deep Cool and Thermalright had closer to 60 degrees max core temperature recorded during the benchmark, and they also recorded towards the lower end of the FPS, I mean in the 244, 243 range, whereas the EK Electrotherm came in with the lowest CPU like max core temp and had the highest FPS at 251. But all in all, that's all kind of well within, variation of the benchmark and what might be happening within the computer. So I would say that's pretty much a wash. This benchmark didn't tell us a whole lot other than every thermal paste works well enough in order to play some games. So let's look at the Cinebench benchmark. Let's see if we can glean something useful out of this exercise. All right, so you can see here, I got them in the order of the way we tested them. So the Deep Cool came in with a max core temp of 75 degrees. Thermalright just below that. Arctic Silver all the way up to almost 80 degrees. The EK Thermalright at 75, and so on. Now, what really caught me off guard here was when I first saw this max core temp of the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. It was at 80 degrees right off the bat. I ran the full Cinebench test, but I had a feeling that maybe I put too much thermal paste on or something just wasn't quite right with the application. So I did it again. Got a very slightly lower number at 78 degrees C, but I was honestly really surprised. The Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut is kind of like the name of the game. You can find them everywhere. Probably one of the most widely known thermal pastes you can get out there. So this was really surprising to see that it was one of the lowest performing thermal pastes that we tested out here today. Let's switch over to the average temperature because I think this is going to give us an even closer insight into how well these thermal pastes really performed. And right off the bat, I was completely stunned. I saw this first benchmark from the Deep Cool thermal paste baggie that comes with even their cheapest coolers, had the lowest average core temperature at just over 63 degrees. We ran all these other tests and none of them were able to get as low as this Deep Cool thermal paste. Not even the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut after we redid the thermal application. So I would say that is absolutely the biggest surprise here, that what appears to be the cheapest thermal paste out of the whole bunch seemed to perform as good as, if not better than, the rest of these. The other thing to take out of this is you can tell that almost all of these are performing at almost a very, very similar level, which means, does it really make sense for you to pay money to get your own thermal paste and replace whatever comes with your CPU cooler? If you're not going to be doing a ton of crazy overclocking and you don't have super, super high-end components, then I would say no. Based on what we're seeing here, you can use just about any actual thermal paste. Don't get me started on all the other things that people use as thermal paste. But you can use any manufacturer's thermal paste from what we can see, and you're still going to have pretty good numbers. The other thing you might want to think about, if you have a slightly undersized cooler for your CPU, you might want to consider a higher end thermal paste, even more so than like what we have here, like the Thermal Grizzly Hydronaut, or maybe even like a liquid metal, in order to really reduce the CPU temperatures under load. But in normal use, not overclock, you really don't need anything special. And honestly, I was not expecting to come to that conclusion. I was really expecting to see one of these or a couple of these be drastically lower temperatures than the rest. Maybe I just have a really good CPU cooler, and so it didn't make as much of a difference, but I guess that's sort of the conclusion. Don't spend money on thermal paste if you don't have to. If you're not pushing your computer to the ragged edge, maybe just use what's already pre-applied on your CPU cooler or what comes in the box. Anyways, so if you guys enjoyed this video, if you want to see me try out some other thermal compounds, like maybe a thermal pad or some of that liquid metal or something from maybe Noctua, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can do another one of these videos with my other PC, which is also in desperate need of cleaning. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe and check out some of our other stuff. We've got a couple of really cool videos that we dropped recently, including a $7,000 all AMD PC build we did, and the PC we gave away to our friend Rytech because he was just in desperate need of one. So I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.